With Natalee Holloway's family and the Aruban authorities now engaged in a public war of words after Beth Holloway and her ex-husband demanded a new team to run the investigation. It seems there's little they agree on, except they say that they're focusing on the same possible suspects. Joran van der Sloot, Satish and Deepak Kalpo, the last people known to have seen Natalee alive.
They know what, they know who, they know where, they know when, they know how, and they know why. So I want them. I want the answers.
And Aruba's Deputy Police Chief, Gerald Dompig, was on MSNBC's Rita Cosby live and direct last night.
I still believe that these boys have been lying. They're still lying, and everybody knows that by now. So there's no doubt in my mind that they know something, they are guilty of something.
So why is Dr. Phil telling such a different story on last night's Tonight Show with Jay Leno?
Without creating false hope, we have reasonable belief and some credible evidence that Natalee Holloway is alive. We cannot prove that at this point, and we don't know where she is, but there is a huge sex slave underground in some of those countries down there. Young women have disappeared from that part of the world before, and we have reasonable cause to believe that she may well be alive.
I don't know. I certainly don't know any of that evidence. I guess Dr. Phil knows it better. Joining me now is MSNBC analyst, former FBI investigator Clint van Zandt, who was down in Aruba investigating this. Clint, look, I'm not suggesting that I have all of the exact same sources as Dr. Phil, but I find this very hard to believe.
Well, I do too. Let's look at both sides, Dan. One side says that it's a dirty little secret in this world that between 1 and 4 million people are trafficking across the world every year. Women, children that are involved in sex slavery. It's also known that when you get down in the Caribbean, there's at least, in all of the islands combined, there's at least 100,000 people, women and children otherwise, that are engaged in some type of prostitution, sex slavery.
Right.
So does that go on? Yes, it does. But, if Dr. Phil has credible evidence with his investigative team that have neither the resources nor the equipment or anything else of the FBI, the Aruban police, the Dutch F-16s, and everything else that flew over, if he's got a lock on the truth, this is the time he needs to write it up, lay it on the desk of the FBI and say, here, I, Dr. Phil, can prove that she was kidnapped off that island, she was sold into slavery, and that she's either in some sultan's temple or she's chained to a bed in the back of some crack house down in South America. And, Dan, that's the time Navy SEALs, Army Delta are going to take that place down and get her out of there. So if you got the information, let's not talk about it on TV. Let's go get her back.
Yeah. Look, and he's even saying, I can't prove it, we don't know for certain, we just have credible evidence and reasonable belief. And
I think it's terrible, Dan, to hold out false hope to Natalee's family or any other family that's lost a child or a loved one over the years, think that if it could be Natalee, it could be my child too.
Clint, my concern is that this is sort of like the satanic cult theory in the Peterson case. I mean, there was some satanic activity in certain areas. People were making drawings, etc. Okay, but what's the link between that and the Peterson case? And it's the same point you're making. It's, okay, there is some sort of sex slave trade that goes on down there, but what's the evidence that that's what happened to Natalee?
Never, everything I looked at down there and everything I've researched and talked to the FBI and the State Department, there has never been an incident of a U.S. tourist kidnapped from Aruba and sold into sex slavery. So where that sex slavers would be walking down the beach and just happen to find Natalee there after she had some conversation with Joran van der Sloot, and this convolution of planets and everything coming together, that the timing would have been perfect. Now, there's the story I heard when I was down there that Joran van der Sloot had sold her to pay off a gambling debt, so who knows? But, if there's something to back this story up, let the authorities know it.
All right. look, I like Dr. Phil, and, you know, I hope, look, if he's got evidence, I think everyone would like to see it. Clint, thanks very much. You can always read Clint's column on our website as well.